Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and this week we are finally starting to bolt some of the bits back onto the Alfarrari. Alright guys, welcome back, and those who were watching last week will have seen that I actually went through and pressure tested and then painted a bunch of the tanks for the Alfarrari in the last episode. If you missed it, I'll put a link up above so you can catch up. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It does help out the channel. The only other real comment that came up a few times was people were wondering why I went to all the trouble of making it so that my fuel level sender was not getting stuck at the bottom of the tank. Why didn't I just raise it up? And the thing is it doesn't reach the bottom of the tank as it is, and I want to get the most travel out of it possible. So stopping it up here would make it almost useless, because that's about where the level of the oil is going to be anyway. So it's really not going to help me, and this will fluctuate quite a bit in level. It's not like a fuel tank where it's like it very, very gradually moves. Even if the fuel sloshes around a bit. Dry sump tanks actually vary a lot when you're driving. When you accelerate hard, the level drops and then it fills up quickly, and there's a lot of movement. So this the oil moves very, very fast. You've got to picture that oil when it's in a running engine is not that thick consistency it is when it's cold, when it's going in. It is like water, and it moves at a very high rate. So you want to get the most travel out of that sender as I can, and that was the point for this. But in any case, today, my job is to start putting some of these things into the car to where they're going to stay, which I'm very excited about. So seeing as I'm holding the dry sump tank, I think we need to get out the bits and pieces, start getting some sealant out to seal this up, and start mounting it into the car. All right, first one in, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. That looks really good. That's the washer bottle. I need to come up with a label for the top. I've thought about different ways to actually label this, because obviously this needs to be labeled as washer bottle. The one on the other side is going to be the oil, and then you're going to have the radiator caps and things like that. So I want to sort of make labels up for the caps. I think the best way is going to be to actually do basically a printed sticker, a black sticker with the logo on it in the middle there. Should just look nice and neat, and just suit the car, not look like an afterthought. Be nice and tidy in the engine bay. I did think about laser engraving or something like that. The trouble is that the Raceworks logo is I'd have to basically file this all flat and get this all off and then paint it or get them re-anodized. It would be a whole process to be able to do it. Whereas I think if I just put a nice big round black sticker that is the exact size of this end of the cap, and then put the label on it, I think it'll look nice and professional and neat and tidy to go with the rest of the engine bay. That's the washer bottle installed. I am very happy. It looks good, and it's all wired up. It's all ready to roll. All right, we got the dry sump tank. I'm going to now finally seal it up. I'm going to just use some blue RTV to go around and seal all the top, mostly because that's the one I've got. I'm going to seal this up now, and then we can start looking at installing it. All right, so now it's time to install my dry sump tank. Now, it's inside this wheel arch here, and obviously the oil in it is quite hot. It does go through the oil cooler first before it travels back into the car, but it's still going to get hot on a hot day, and when you're going on it, it's going to get hot. And I don't want to damage the paint that I spent so much time working on the outside, amongst other things. So what I'm going to do is I've actually got some of this peel and stick heat shield from Car Builders. So these same guys I got all the sound netting from on the inside. It's got sort of some sort of maybe a fiberglass or some sort of backing on this. So it should hopefully lock in quite a reasonable amount of the heat. So let's try and protect the cabin from getting too hot. All right, so we have the dry sump tank all in place. It's all up in there. It's all wired up. The breathers are all connected. Now going through the bulkheads, connectors into the cab. Still have to connect up the oil line in, and we'll go into the engine bay now and connect up the filler. So you can see the nice rubber ring around the outside of the caps. And all I use for that is some of this basic rubber trim, just the clips on around the edge. I cut it at a slight angle so that when it goes around and meets at the bottom, they actually join up nicely and it makes a nice, neat ring. Looks really good. That is the look that I was going for in the engine bay. So basically it's just going to be the engine in the middle. You're not really going to see much else, and just these two filler caps at the back of the engine bay. The rest is all nice and clean. They're nice and symmetrical. That's exactly what I was looking for. So washer bottle on one side, dry sump oil fill on the other side. I like it. I'm happy. Next. And there you can see I've just quickly put the stone guard in place, just making sure everything still fits. Obviously I've got to pull it out again later to put the rubber trims around the edge, which I've still got to get. I'll need sort of some thicker rubber trim around the edge, and that is looking good. I am very happy. Oil cooler is mounted, and the lines are connected up all the way, nice and neat and tidy. So I think that means we need to start putting in the fuel tank. All right, so I've reassembled the fuel tank. So gone through, I've put the fuel sender in, I've put the cap on. Inside has actually got this foam stuff that goes in there that basically stops the fuel sloshing around inside. So that's in there as well. And on the bottom, I've gone through and I've just put some a layer of rubber as a gasket so that when I bolt it down, it's going to not be sitting metal on metal in the boot. So let's put it in the car. That looks good. I'm really happy with that. Getting the fuel tank in. This is just one of those little sort of cosmetic touches that I really liked. It's all working the way it's supposed to. It all fits. It's all bolted in. It's nice bolting some of these parts that I worked on for so long into the car. So now let's have a look at what else I can start bolting in. Okay, so we've got the tank in and it's looking good. So now it's time to start tackling headlights. Now, a quick word on headlights. Lots of people are like, aren't you going to put those LED type horrible things in the car? Absolutely never, ever, ever. No. I hate those horrible headlights that seem to be invading all of these classic cars all over the place, and it just ruins the look of the car. It really irks me. Yes, no way, no, never. They just look like cheap Chinese junk to me. I don't know. That's the vision I get. It's like the nasty tail lights that started coming out in the early 2000s, replacing and making them to look like the Altezza tail lights and things like that. Just no, they're not going on this at all. No way. So I am going to do something about using. Seeing if I can actually refresh these headlights and make them decent and good enough and clean enough, and if not, then I might have to replace them. I am not actually sure if these have got even replaceable bulbs in them, so I'm going to pull them apart now and just start cleaning everything up. Regardless, I have to paint the buckets, I have to paint all the sort of the hardware and things like that. So let's start pulling it apart and see what they look like. All right, I just had a look on Classic Alfa's website, and these things are actually quite affordable. I think they're only about $50 each for the small ones and about $65 for the outer ones. So I'll put nice shiny new ones on there and make it all look nice on the front. So now it's time to go through and tidy these up. I mean, if these are rusted out on yours, they actually have these as well. But in my case, these just need a good coat of paint. Let's do it. All right, so I've got the car covered up, and I've got the headlight buckets in waiting to be painted. So I thought if I was going to do a round of the epoxy black, I thought I may as well do some other stuff while I'm there. And I dug out these spring perches. So these are for the front suspension, the spring perches, and they actually have like this, basically because they sit that way up in the car, I believe what's obviously happened is that the water just sits in here, and it's just sits in there under the spring. It doesn't drain very well, and it's just rust. It took forever to get these out. I ended up getting in with the air chisel to try and clean up the mess. They're really, really sort of deep flaked on rust, and yeah, so this bit here is actually rubber that's very well gone. That is aluminium, I think. But it's like, it's so corroded and brittle, it's just ridiculous. The other side wasn't quite as bad, it sort of came out okay, but yeah, when I cleaned them out, this is really thick, heavy stamped steel. It's probably 2.5 mil thick, I'd say. This one here looks like it's rusted so much, it's actually rusted through this edge here. So, yeah, that's not going to do. So I'm going to have to see if I can find one of these, either from Tim or see if Classic Alfa do reproductions. We'll just paint what we've got in there for the time being, and yeah, we'll tackle these another time. All right, so they're all now painted in the enamel. I'm actually really happy with this stuff. It's only like a 1K, like there's no hardener, it's just straight out of the gun enamel that really, really sort of tough, gives a nice sort of gloss finish. It looks just nice and neat and robust. These are done. And that is all the time I have this week. So I think that means it's time for fun facts from Mrs. Jeff.
Hey guys, 1989, on the tail of the F40 release, saw one of the most interesting concept cars to ever come out of Pininfarina. The Mythos was based on a Ferrari Testarossa and basically kept the 4.9 litre flat 12 as it came from the factory. Pietro Carmodello, who worked on the F40 and would later design the F50, penned the low wedgie barchetta design of the Mythos. It was a study in lightweight composite materials and weighed in at 1,250 kilos or 2,750 pounds, almost 450 kilos lighter than the Ferrari Testarossa. It was revealed at the 1989 Tokyo Motor Show to take full advantage of the booming Japanese economy of the time, where it caught the eye of Japanese collector Shiro Kozaka, who after 2 years of negotiation managed to purchase the car for an undisclosed amount, where he displayed it in his museum, the Arbath Gallery. The Arbath Gallery closed down in the mid-2000s, and ever since it was kept in Pininfarina's headquarters in Italy, except for one moment on its 30th anniversary where it made an appearance at the Monaco Concourse and was road driven for the very first time in its existence. Famously, the Sultan of Brunei also commissioned 2 copies of the car, but this was the only original ever made.
All right, that is some progress getting the fuel tank in. That fuel filler, I just love that style of fuel filler, and I've been dying to put it on the car. And just getting the tanks in, everything's looking nice and neat and tidy. The oil cooler, all these little bits and pieces, very fiddly, taking time to make sure they're all nice and painted and clean and tidy and installed properly. So I do it hopefully just that once.
We hope so.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the videos, and yeah, let your friends know, get them to watch the videos too, and yeah, let Jeff know what you think, and hope everyone's enjoying the start to their 2023, and I hope you all have better weather than we do here, because I know a lot of you are in the northern hemisphere and it's winter, but it's summer here, and it's really not very summery.
Summer here, it's freezing, it's blowing a gale, it's been raining for days. It feels like in the middle of winter. It's horrible, it's really not summery. Anyway, we'll see you next time, guys. See ya.
1989, on the tail of the F40's release, saw one of the most famous Ferrari concept cars to come out of Pininfarina.
It wasn't famous. Where'd you get famous?
I don't know. Okay, it's freezing cold, it's really windy. Penned the design of the low wedgie barchetta. Is that snow? Am I seeing hail? Snow? The low wedgie design, the barchetta design of the Mythos.
Try again.
Penned the design of the low wedgie barchetta. Mythos. Penned the low wedgie design of the
much smoother the second time around.
because I've had a chance to read it.